On a stormy night in Central Valley, California, a 9-year-old girl ran through the rain-soaked streets, her tiny footsteps echoing with urgency. She wasn't just running for help. She was about to uncover a secret that would bring down one of the most feared biker gangs on the West Coast. Her mother, the owner of a small-town diner, had been quietly gathering evidence against the gang for months. But when they discovered her secret, she had only seconds to act. She turned to her daughter and gave one chilling command. "Run to the police station. Don't stop. Don't talk to anyone." What happened next would ignite the biggest criminal takedown in the region's history. One mother's bravery, a child's desperate cry for help, and a police force unwilling to back down. This is the story of how 3 whispered words shattered a criminal empire. Before we dive deeper, tell us, where are you watching from? And if you love real stories of courage and justice, hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow's episode, it's even more powerful. The Central Valley Police Station sat quiet that evening, its fluorescent lights casting long shadows across the glistening pavement. Officer Reagan Chase sat behind the desk, her coffee untouched as she worked through a pile of paperwork. At 9:47 p.m., the front doors suddenly slammed open. Cold air swept in, and so did a soaking wet little girl. Luna Hayes stood in the entryway shivering, her blue coat drenched, her blonde hair clinging to her face. Her eyes held a fear so deep that Reagan's instincts kicked in immediately. She rushed forward. "Sweetheart, are you okay?" Luna's voice trembled as she answered. Just 3 words. "They have Mom." Detective Knox Blackwood, passing by with his 4th cup of coffee, froze in his tracks. 25 years in law enforcement told him this was no ordinary case. Reagan knelt beside the girl. "You're safe now. Can you tell us what happened?" Luna's hands clutched the straps of her backpack. "The men on the motorcycles. They came to the diner, again." Knox stepped forward, his tone calm but firm. "What men, honey? What diner?" "Hayes Family Diner. My mom's place. She told me to come here. She said you'd know what to do." 6 hours earlier, the day had started like any other. Sage Hayes worked the morning rush, moving between tables with practiced ease, pouring coffee and offering smiles that never fully reached her eyes. Her daughter Luna sat at the counter doing homework, stealing glances at her mother, and noticing how her smile always faded when the sound of motorcycles rolled by outside. At 2:15 p.m., the diner's bell chimed. Luna felt it before she even turned. Her mom tensed. 3 men walked in, boots heavy on the linoleum. The leader, a tall man with a scarred face and cold eyes, gave a smile that wasn't friendly. "Mrs. Hayes," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "We need to talk business." Sage's grip on the coffee pot tightened. "Luna, go to the back and finish your homework." But Luna stayed just long enough to hear the man's next words, now low and threatening. "We know what you've been up to. Did you really think we wouldn't find out?" The rest of the afternoon passed like a blur. Sage moved like a shadow, her usual rhythm broken, her nerves exposed. After the last customers left, she pulled Luna aside. "Listen carefully," she whispered, eyes flicking to the windows. "I hid something in your backpack. If anything happens, if they come back, run. Straight to the police station. Officer Chase will help. Don't stop. Don't look back." Luna nodded, her chest tight with fear. "Mom, what's happening?" Before Sage could answer, the roar of motorcycles filled the air. Too many. Her face went pale. "Go!" She pushed Luna toward the back door. "Now!" Luna ran. Her backpack bounced against her spine, her legs pumping faster than ever. Behind her, she heard the diner door burst open, shouting, glass shattering. The rain came hard, but she didn't stop until she reached the station, the 3 words burning on her tongue. "They have Mom." Detective Knox turned to Reagan. "Call everyone in. Now." As Reagan reached for her radio, Luna stood there in dripping clothes, clutching her backpack like a lifeline. Whatever her mother had hidden inside could be the key to saving lives, starting with her own. But they had to act fast. Somewhere out in Central Valley, the gang known as the Shadow Wolves was already moving, ready to silence anyone who stood in their way. They thought they had covered their tracks. But they didn't count on a soaked 9-year-old girl carrying damning evidence through the storm. That night, Central Valley wasn't just hit by rain, it was hit by the first wave of justice. Inside the police precinct, chaos erupted. Detective Knox barked orders as officers scrambled into action. "Units to Hayes Family Diner, now! Winters, I want forensics in place!" "River, pull every file on the Shadow Wolves." Meanwhile, Officer Reagan Chase sat with Luna in a quiet room away from the noise. The child had been changed into an oversized department sweatshirt, her soaked backpack resting on the table. "Luna," Reagan asked gently, "can you tell me about the men who came to the diner?" The girl's fingers traced circles on the table. "The scary one. My mom called him Blade. She didn't know I heard." Reagan leaned closer. "When did he start showing up?" "After my dad died," Mom said. "It wasn't really an accident. That's why she started watching them. That's why she kept a special notebook." Knox entered, his expression grim. "We found the diner. It's wrecked. Blood on the counter. Sage is gone." Luna's breath hitched. Reagan steadied her voice. "Luna, what's in your backpack?" With shaking hands, Luna unzipped it. Inside, wrapped beneath schoolbooks, was a sealed manila envelope and a worn leather notebook. "Mom told me to bring these to you. She said they'd help." Knox opened the envelope. Inside were dozens of photos. Shadow Wolves members shaking hands with gangsters, businessmen, even city officials. Each image was dated and labeled in Sage Hayes' meticulous handwriting. "She hid a camera in the diner," Luna explained. "She said she needed proof that they killed my dad." At the ransacked diner, Detective Aspen Winters discovered more evidence: hidden photos, a flash drive, and ledgers. "Knox," she said through the radio, "Sage was tracking their entire operation." Across town, in a dark clubhouse, Sage Hayes sat bound to a chair, blood on her cheek but fire in her eyes. "Where are the files?" Blade demanded. Sage smiled through the pain. "Gone. You'll never find them." His hand gripped her throat. "You have no idea what you've done. Your husband made the same mistake." "No," she said defiantly. "You made the mistake. You killed Callum thinking you'd silence us. But you forgot something. Mothers protect their children. Luna is safe, and she has everything she needs to bring you down." Back at the station, Knox and Reagan sifted through Sage's notebook. Each page detailed meetings, cash flows, and secret deals. It wasn't just a gang, it was an enterprise stretching across 3 states. "She started this right after Callum died," Reagan said. "He was an accountant. Found financial anomalies tied to the Shadow Wolves. They killed him and made it look like a crash. But they didn't expect Sage to spend 2 years building a case," Knox replied. Through the window, Reagan watched Luna asleep on the break room couch. "She's the reason all of this exists." "Then we owe it to her to finish it," Knox said firmly. But there was a problem. "What about Sage?" Reagan asked. Knox's jaw tightened. "If they stick to their pattern, they'll take her to Eagle Mountain, remote, quiet, perfect for making someone disappear." "Then we don't have time," Reagan snapped. "Because I'm not letting that little girl lose both her parents to these animals." As dawn crept in, the precinct stayed lit. The Shadow Wolves thought no one could touch them. But a mother's courage and a daughter's strength had just torn the first hole in their empire, and the flood was coming. What they built looked legitimate: businesses, development firms, even bank accounts. But beneath the surface, it was a machine of corruption, laundering money, running drugs, silencing threats. They never expected a single woman to chart the whole thing and pay the price. Detective Knox stared at the evidence spread across the desk. "This isn't just a gang," he muttered. "Sage mapped out their entire network." Outside, rain washed the streets of Central Valley, but it couldn't wash away the bloodstains at the diner or the truth Sage Hayes had uncovered. She'd sacrificed everything to expose what others were too afraid to see. And now, that storm she warned of, it was here. Back inside, Detective Aspen Winters stood in the evidence room, pinning yet another photo to the growing web on the wall. The faces staring back, business owners, city officials, even a judge, were all linked by Sage's obsessive documentation. "Knox!" Aspen called out. She pointed to bank transfers Callum Hayes had flagged before his death. "They all run through Harbor District Development Corps." Knox's eyes narrowed. "Judge Marshall's pet project." "Exactly," Aspen said, revealing a photo of Blade shaking hands with the judge and members of the Port Authority. "This goes way deeper than we thought." Down the hall, Reagan sat beside Luna, gently encouraging her to eat. The girl barely touched her sandwich. "Mom used to cut them like this," Luna whispered, tracing the plate's edge. "No crust." She said Dad taught her. "What was your dad like?" Reagan asked softly. "He loved numbers," Luna said, a faint smile flickering. "Said numbers tell stories if you know how to listen. He found something wrong, in the books. The night before the accident, he told Mom he was scared." She swallowed. "Next day, his brakes failed." Before Reagan could respond, chaos erupted in the hallway. Officer River Bennett rushed in. Movement on Thunder Road. Multiple bikes, headed for Eagle Mountain. Knox appeared in the doorway. "How many?" "At least 12. Blade's leading them." "They're moving Sage," Knox growled. "Gear up." But before they could act, tires screeched outside. 3 motorcycles pulled up to the precinct, riders dismounting slowly and deliberately. Luna shrank back. "That's Raven," she whispered. "Mom called him Storm. He's the one who hurt her." Knox and River approached the front desk just as Storm and 2 others walked in. The snarling Shadow Wolves emblem on his leather jacket gleamed under the lights. "Heard you've been asking about our business," Storm said with a cold smile. "Not very neighborly." "Neither is kidnapping," Knox shot back. "Where's Sage Hayes?" Storm scoffed. "The diner lady? Heard she skipped town. Shame about the damage, though. Tough neighborhood." Knox stepped closer. "We know about Harbor Development. We know about Judge Marshall. It's over." Storm's expression darkened. "Nothing's over. Back off now while you still can." Then came the threat. "Shame if something happened to that little girl. Kids need both parents, don't you think?" Knox's hand twitched near his weapon, but Storm had made his point and backed off. The bikers disappeared into the rain. "They know we have Luna," River said. "They know we have the files," Knox replied. "Get me everything on Judge Marshall. And put Luna under 24-hour protection, only people we trust." Back in the break room, Reagan found Luna curled up crying. "They're going to hurt her, like they hurt Dad." "No, they're not," Reagan said firmly. "Your mom's the bravest woman I've ever heard of, and we're not letting her down." Moments later, Aspen's voice called out from the evidence room. "You need to see this." She had cracked the USB drive from the diner. "Video files, all time-stamped. But look at this." Footage played. Judge Marshall accepting an envelope from Blade. The audio was clear. "The Harbor District deal goes through next week. Make sure your end is clean." Knox stared at the screen. She didn't just document the gang. She built a case against the entire network. Aspen clicked to another file. Her face paled. "The night Callum died, there was a meeting at the diner, Judge Marshall, Blade, and—" She stopped. "Chief Rogers." Knox felt the floor vanish beneath him. What Sage had uncovered wasn't just corruption, it was betrayal, rooted in the very people sworn to protect them. The evidence didn't just implicate gang members, it revealed something much worse. Their own police chief, caught on video, standing beside the very criminals they were investigating. Knox stared at the screen, his voice low. "This goes all the way to the top. That's why Sage documented everything herself. She knew she couldn't trust anyone inside the department." A knock on the door made them flinch. River stepped in, urgency in his voice. "Tip just came in. Route 7. Multiple bikes heading toward Eagle Mountain. But get this, they're escorting a black SUV, Judge Marshall's SUV." Knox straightened. "They're not just relocating Sage. They're cleaning house." "What do you mean?" Reagan asked. "Think about it. She has evidence on all of them. The gang, the judge, the chief. They won't risk her talking. They're going to make her disappear, legally, with a judge's signature to bury the truth. Reagan stepped in, her expression set. Then we move now. Luna just remembered something. There's a second notebook. Her mom hid it. Somewhere only she would know. Where? In her father's grave. Pre-dawn. The cemetery. Knox's unmarked car rolled to a stop at the gate, headlights off. Mist clung to the ground like a warning. Luna sat in the back seat with Reagan, pointing through the fog. "That's Dad," she whispered, motioning toward a weathered headstone beneath an oak tree. "Mom brings yellow roses every Sunday. They were his favorite." Knox scanned the grounds, his hand near his holster. "River? Clear for now," came the reply. "Wait, cruiser incoming, marked unit. Can't confirm who's inside yet." Knox's jaw clenched. "With Rogers compromised, we can't trust any unvetted officers." "Reagan, stay with Luna. River, on me." They moved quickly through the wet grass, staying low. The cruiser rolled up slowly, a flashlight cut across the headstones. "Detective," a voice called out. Officer Mason stepped forward. His partner lingered by the car. Knox had known Mason for 15 years, always clean, but now no one was above suspicion. "Official business, Mason." "Keep moving." Mason rested his hand near his weapon. "Chief says anyone near Hayes's grave gets detained. Now, why don't you tell me what you're really doing here?" "Last chance," Knox warned, but Mason drew. River was faster. In one move, he tackled Mason to the ground. Knox met the second officer mid-charge, dropping him with a single punch. Within moments, both were disarmed and cuffed, their radios and weapons confiscated. "Reagan," Knox called out. "We need to move. Now." Luna led them to the headstone. Simple, weathered, etched in stone. Callum Hayes, beloved husband and father. "Truth above all," Luna whispered. "Mom said Dad believed in truth. That's why she couldn't let them get away with it." Knox and River carefully removed the flowers from the vase. Inside, wrapped in plastic, was a slim notebook. "Smart," Reagan murmured, "hiding it in plain sight." As they drove back, Luna's soft voice broke the silence. "The night Dad died, he kept saying he had to make copies. Said the evidence wasn't safe. Mom didn't understand until she found his notes." "What kind of notes, Luna?" Reagan asked gently. "About the money. Dad worked with businesses at the harbor. He found numbers that didn't add up. Then Chief Rogers started showing up at our house. First just parked out front, then one night he came to the door. They argued. Dad was scared. Back at the precinct, Aspen had just discovered something devastating. I rechecked Callum's autopsy," she told Knox. "The forensics report originally flagged signs of tampering in the brake lines, but someone overrode it." She held up the document. Rogers signed off, classified it as wear and tear. Knox clenched his fists. "And the rushed cremation?" Aspen continued. "Pushed through by Judge Marshall." Then came the second notebook, worse than anyone imagined. Callum hadn't just found money laundering. He had uncovered a human trafficking network, hidden beneath the surface of everyday life in Central Valley. The shadow wolves were just the muscle. The real machinery ran through City Hall, the Port Authority, and the court system. River pointed to shipping manifests. "These don't match port records." "Drugs?" Reagan asked. Knox shook his head. "Worse. People. They were moving human cargo through the port, disguised as construction supplies and shipments tied to the Harbor District Development Project. Warehouses, shipping yards, legitimate companies, it was all a front." Luna had fallen asleep again, curled up in the break room, her small body finally giving in to exhaustion. Reagan stood at the window, watching her in silence. Knox stepped beside her. "Callum Hayes found the truth," he said. "When he tried to expose it, they killed him. Now it was up to them to finish what he started. They made it look like an accident. But Sage knew better. She had spent 2 years gathering evidence. Every meeting, every payoff, every lie. She didn't trust anyone in law enforcement, so she built the case herself. Alone. Now, she was in enemy hands. "Not for long," Knox said, his voice firm. We've got enough. We move on Eagle Mountain, carefully. If Rogers gets wind of it, we're done, Reagan warned. That's when Aspen burst in, her face pale, laptop in hand. It's worse than we thought, she said. I cracked more files from Sage's USB. Judge Marshall, he's not just covering up the operation, he's running it, everything. The Shadow Wolves, the Port Authority, it all answers to him. River added grimly, and he's headed to Eagle Mountain, where they're holding Sage. Knox's face went cold. He's not going to silence her, he's going to erase her, and now he's got the full power of the law helping him do it. Then we'd better beat them there, Reagan snapped. Luna's not losing another parent. As the first light of dawn crept over Central Valley, the plan began. Inside the tactical room, Knox rolled out a map of Eagle Mountain. Only 5 officers could be trusted. Personally vetted, loyal, quiet, ready. Here's the compound. Knox pointed to a cluster of buildings near the summit. Old mining site, one way in, great for an ambush. They'll see us coming from a mile out, said Sergeant Maya Torres, their tactical lead. Not if we use the hiking trail, came a small voice. Everyone turned. Luna stood in the doorway beside Reagan, her eyes wide but steady. Dad used to take me there. There's a trail behind the old ranger station. Steep but hidden. Bikes can't use it, Knox softened. You've been up there? Luna nodded. Last summer, before everything. You can see the whole valley from that spot. She traced the hidden path on the map. Maya nodded. It's tough terrain, but it'll give us cover all the way to the back of the compound. How many guards? At least 15, River said, lowering his phone. Blade called in all his loyal men, but there's tension. Not everyone's okay with hurting a kid's mom. Meanwhile, down in holding, Officer Mason finally broke. Taking out Hayes' husband, that was business, he muttered. He got too close, but his wife and kid? That was never part of the deal, Reagan pressed. What deal? Judge Marshall keeps things smooth, papers, politics, the wolves handle muscle, it's a machine. But Blade, he's got a grudge. Callum almost exposed them. He wants revenge. On Eagle Mountain, Sage sat tied to a chair, her wrists raw, face bruised, but her spirit unshaken. Blade circled her like a predator. Your husband was weak, he sneered. You're stubborn. 2 years documenting everything? You think that's going to save you? Sage met his eyes. It already has. Everything's backed up. The murders, the trafficking. Luna's safe, and she has everything she needs to finish this. Blade's hand shot to her throat. Not if she's dead. Marshall's given us full clearance. By sunrise, there won't be a trace left. Outside, headlights cut through the fog. Judge Marshall's SUV had arrived. Back at the station, Knox's team suited up. Radios encrypted, weapons checked, hearts pounding. We move in 3 teams, Maya instructed. Alpha, mining trail, led by Knox. Beta, diversion on the main road. I'll lead. Charlie, perimeter security with River. What about backup? Aspen asked. State police are on standby, Knox said. Once we secure Sage, they move in. We bypass local authorities. Luna clutched Reagan's sleeve. Promise you'll bring my mom back? Reagan knelt, locking eyes with her. I promise. Your mom protected you. Now it's our turn. On the mountain, Judge Marshall stepped out of his SUV, dress shoes slipping in the gravel. This ends tonight, he said. No loose ends. Handled, Blade assured. Once she's gone, my men hit the station. The evidence, the kid, gone. But unknown to them, Knox and his team were already in position. Alpha team ready, Maya's voice crackled over the radio. No movement on the perimeter. Beta team in place, River added. Waiting for your go. Knox pressed his back against a boulder, eyes locked on the compound just ahead. Lights flickered, shadows moved. This was it. With one final check of his weapon, Knox gave the order. We move on my signal. They thought silencing one woman would bury the truth, but they didn't count on her daughter. On a stormy night in Central Valley, 9-year-old Luna Hayes ran through the rain, clutching a backpack filled with evidence that would bring down one of the most powerful criminal networks in the country. Her mother, Sage Hayes, had spent 2 years documenting corruption, from drug trafficking to judicial cover-ups, after the suspicious death of her husband Callum, an accountant who uncovered financial irregularities tied to a group called the Commission, but when Sage's cover was blown, she sent Luna to the police with only 3 words. They have Mom. The police soon discovered Sage's files exposed far more than a biker gang. It was a nationwide shadow network. Judges, police chiefs, politicians, all working together to manipulate society under the guise of stability. And at the heart of it, Project Starlight, a global system of social engineering, manipulating elections, markets, even public sentiment. As Knox's team raced to rescue Sage from a compound on Eagle Mountain, the commission turned on itself. Gunfire erupted as loyalties fractured. Sage escaped her captors just as her daughter's childhood knowledge of old mountain trails helped Knox's team infiltrate the site. But the real bombshell came from Luna. She revealed her father had hidden a second set of data in an astronomy book. Callum had encoded the commission's entire network using star charts, mapping out locations, names, and the terrifying scope of their operation. And more. He'd discovered Project Eclipse, the commission's final plan to crash society if they were ever exposed, proving their own necessity. But it backfired. Luna uploaded everything. As the commission launched their final assault, Sage, Knox, and a reformed gang leader named Storm held the line. Inside the collapsing underground facility, Luna and her mother confronted the commission's leaders. Through gunfire, betrayal, and flooding corridors, the truth went global. Emergency broadcasts began revealing 50 years of control, murder, and manipulation. And the world didn't collapse. It adapted. Former agents turned whistleblowers. Communities rose. Law enforcement was rebuilt. The commission's myth of necessary control had been shattered, not just by files or testimony, but by a family's courage to face the truth. 1 year later, Central Valley had become a global symbol of transparency. The Hayes Protocol, built on Callum's models, was adopted worldwide. Luna, now a symbol of the movement, taught others how to read the patterns her father left behind. And Chen, once an enemy, now helped dismantle what she once served. Callum Hayes had used the stars not to control, but to guide, knowing that when people are brave enough to face hard truths, they don't fall apart, they rise.